Hey, it's Edmund Pelgan from Online Kickstart, and in this video we are going to talk about implementing search engine optimization for your business. Now, before we get into the detail, I should explain that it's a tough balance because some of you will be more experienced than others and some will have very little idea about SEO. So this presentation is, by virtue of that fact, going to be in the middle. It's not going to be hugely detailed, but I'm going to cover the key things that you need to be aware of as a business owner so that you can have the right conversations with your providers as well as with your team. And I'm a great believer in the old 80-20 rule. And so the things that I'm going to cover in this video are the 20% of activities that will get you 80% of the results in your SEO activity. So it is going to be as simple as possible, right? There are only going to be two phases. I've broken down your core SEO activities into two phases. And the reality is, yes, that you should outsource some of these issues, some of these activities, especially the technical ones. Find a specialist to do specific aspects of it in the same way that someone would come to see you as the specialist. You're not an SEO. And if you are unfamiliar with doing some of these activities, then certainly find someone to help you with it. And as I said, this is the 20% that will get you 80% of the SEO results. So here's the plan. The first phase is getting your house in order. So we're going to revisit some of the ideas around getting to know your customer. And no doubt, as if you're in the boardroom, you are already across this. John will have driven you aggressively to make sure you completely understand your customer, the way they work, the way they search, all that sort of stuff. The second phase is to then identify and fix website issues, which typically are the things that will impact your website's SEO performance, slow its rankings down, slow it down in terms of how it helps convert visitors. And then the third thing in phase one is setting up and configuring your tracking tools. Phase two is all about researching, optimizing, and promoting. So keyword research, understanding the words people use to find you, optimizing page titles and meta descriptions, how we get the pages to target those keyword phrases, improving your web copy, how we improve the information on your homepage and your services pages so that they focus on converting the visitor into a customer. Then the process of local directory submissions and link building, and finally Google My Business, because you are ultimately a local business and you need to appear in Google Maps. Right, let's move on. Phase one, getting the house in order. As I said, step one in this phase is getting to know your customer. Again, no doubt you know them. I have this concept called Who is Your Jenny? Well, it's actually not my concept. It belongs to a web design friend of mine. But knowing your Jenny means knowing the persona of your customer, knowing who that persona is, their needs, their pain, what do they need from you and your service, and where do they go for information. And ultimately that, you know this information already, but it's always important to point this out, that understanding the customer is really critical because it then feeds into everything you do. Research, etc., the content that you curate. Right, step one, know the customer. Moving on to step two. So this is a really critical one, identifying and fixing issues that impact your website's performance in search engines. And this is important because some of these issues will impact how your site performs in other digital marketing activities, whether you're setting up funnels, whether you're running paid ads, whether you've got landing pages, whether you're getting people to sign up for email. If the site performs poorly, if it's slow to load, if there are structural issues with it, if you're not tracking things, it's going to impact the ability of your site to do its job to convert visitors into customers, right? And it's going to impact your ability to track and measure that. So some of the things that we're talking about are slow loading web pages. Load speed, how quickly your pages load, impacts not only Google rankings, it also impacts user experience. People don't like to sit on slow websites. Non-HTTPS pages, if your business has been online for any amount of time, you'll notice in the last year there's been an aggressive push to make your website secure. Google, if you look at the URL, you'll see some websites have HTTP in front of them and some have HTTPS, and all that means is there is what's called an SSL certificate running, which makes sure that any traffic to and from your website is secure. People can't hack it and see the data. Google wants more secure websites, and so it is making HTTPS a ranking factor. The other issue that is potentially a problem for you is whether your website is mobile responsive. And the reality is most websites built in the last year or so have become mobile responsive. But the key thing to note here is that all websites now, how they perform on their mobile site, the mobile version, how they perform in the mobile index, is how Google ranks you, right? It's not your desktop site, it's your mobile site. So when you're stressing about designing your new website and you're wasting designers' time looking at how it looks on a desktop, you're not focusing on the key thing. The key thing is, how does your website perform on a mobile device? And make sure you can navigate on a mobile device, make sure you can book, buy, do whatever, make an appointment, and make sure the pages load fast on mobile. The next point you want to look at is insufficient content on the pages. Some websites in the physio space that I've seen are really thin in terms of the amount of content they have on the page. And also sometimes it's a little bit dry. I must admit there are some service pages out there which talk about, for example, remedial massage, and they're just really generic text. Focus on the end user, write copy to the end user. And if you write good copy for the end user and you make it sufficient and comprehensive and relevant, it will be good for SEO. You know, are you struggling with back pain? Blah, blah, blah. Here are the things that we treat. Here's how we do it. Here are some case studies, etc. Put in a call to action. Boom. You've got a good comprehensive services page that is topically relevant, that is focused on converting the customer. Other technical issues might be duplicate page titles and meta description. What that means is multiple pages with the same or similar keyword phrases in the titles, so they're competing for the rankings, right? So that's a key issue to address. So there are a ton of technical issues that can impact your site. In this case here, it's worth getting in an SEO specialist or a good web designer who understands the impact of their work on SEO and getting them to run through your site and fix up any technical issues. Number one, that's the key thing. Right, moving on. Setting up and configuring tracking tools. So as you know from working with John, if you can't measure, you can't manage. Organic traffic is the measure of success for SEO. In order to track all of these things, you need to set up things like Google Analytics. You want to be able to measure the organic traffic to the website. You want to measure the conversions, the actions that people are taking. You want to be able to measure how well your site is improving in its organic visibility. Is it showing up for more keyword phrases? Where is it showing up? Are those rankings actually generating traffic? Are they rankings for relevant keyword phrases that are going to result in relevant traffic to the site, which will result in bookings? You also want to be able to measure your backlink growth, and backlinks are simply links from third-party websites to yours, and they're the signal that your marketing and link building activities are working. And finally, you also want to measure keyword rankings, not just because, hey, I want to be number one for a specific keyword phrase, but you want to know that the work you're doing is improving the rankings for those relevant keyword phrases. So being able to track and measure them allows you to say, yep, we did this activity, the rankings moved up, so I'll keep doing more of the same. Right. So if we jump into detail, one thing I would recommend is you set up a dedicated Google account for all of your marketing activities. And this is the account against which or under which you attach all of your Google services, right? Google My Business, Google Analytics, Google Search Console. So go to accounts.google.com and sign up for a dedicated Google account rather than having, your marketing manager having access to analytics and you having access to a different service. Have them all in one place so you can control access to your tracking and measurement tools, because you need to make sure that the right people have access and the wrong people don't. Right. Go to analytics, google.com.au/analytics, or just search for analytics and you'll find an opportunity to sign up to Google Analytics. Now, analytics allows you to make an informed decision about what you're doing. In this case here, if you look at that graphic, you can see on the top left, I've got it filtered just to show organic traffic. On the top right, I've selected two comparable date ranges so I can compare this year versus last year. And on the bottom part of the screen, you can see the sessions information, which is the number of visitors that came to the website, and all of the other data around that, their behavior, how much time they spent on the site, and did they, in fact, take the action that I want. Google Analytics allows you to track the traffic, the engagement activity, and then the conversion activity. Did they do what you want on the website? Right? Set it up. It's a free tool. The next thing you want to set up for SEO is a tool called Google Search Console. And Search Console allows you to monitor and track the health of your website in Google. It's recently been updated and it gives you data out to 16 months now, right? Key things here is if you look at that graphic on the right, you'll see that halfway down, you'll see that it lists the queries that are generating impressions, i.e. you're showing up for search, as well as the clicks. It also tells you which pages are generating those impressions and getting the clicks, which countries, which devices, etc. It's a very powerful tool It will tell you how many people are searching for your brand. It will give you massive amounts of insight that can then feed into your marketing activities and the content that you create. And it'll even tell you whether your blog posts are ranking and generating traffic. Right. The next thing you want to do is be able to measure rankings and links. Now, there's a number of different tools. Google Search Console in and of itself has a section there called links, and it will give you information on your top linked pages and sites that are linking to you. It's not fully comprehensive, and there are paid tools out there that allow you to track and monitor this. You don't necessarily need to sign up for these. If you've got an SEO partner involved, they will have access to these tools, but just be aware that you want that information, right? SEMrush.com is probably the best all-around marketing tool I would recommend for a business owner or an SEO practitioner looking to track this information, right? SEMrush can track keyword rankings, but it also tells you organic visibility for you and your competitors. If you put in a competitor's website, it'll tell you the keyword phrases that they rank for, right? So that's a very powerful tool. I think it's about $80 a month. But there are other tools that allow you to track and measure links. One's called Ahrefs. But once again, these are SEO specific tools, and you may not feel the need to sign up and use them. But just be aware that you should have a mechanism, whether it's you or your partner, to track rankings and links. Rankings, just so you know that the work that you or they are doing is working. As I said, paid tools include SEMrush. Link analysis tools are Ahrefs and Majestic. Have a look. If you're interested, feel free to sign up. There's a trial on most of these. If not, don't stress. Right, phase 2, research, optimize, and promote. The first step in this phase is doing detailed keyword research. Now, keyword research, as I said, is all about understanding the keyword phrases that you want to get found for, right? Remember our discussion on user intent in the video, in our introduction video. User intent feeds into keyword research. Now, for a physio business, the reality is that you want to target the phrases at the bottom of the marketing funnel, the conversion or commercial or transaction-focused keyword phrases. So if you're a Melbourne physiotherapist, for example, people in Melbourne are going to look for you by searching for Melbourne physiotherapist or remedial massage Melbourne or any of those variations of a service plus a location search. That's called a local search. So you want to make sure you know what those keyword phrases are. SEMrush is a great tool to do this, and you can use it to target your competitors. So to give you an example, the screen that you see on the right is an extract from the tool called SEMrush. And I'll do a later video on this to show you exactly how this all works. But if you put in the seed keyword phrase physiotherapy at the top, it generates a list of all the different variations of the way that people search for a physiotherapist or physiotherapy. And you can see, right, by looking at those keyword phrases that at the top you've got the phrase physiotherapy, which has 22,000 monthly searches. But you don't necessarily want to target that phrase because it's a very broad phrase, and I would suggest that people searching for physiotherapy are doing an informational search or a research phrase search, and it's not ultimately a commercial phrase. Whereas if you go down the list there and you get to things like, say, physiotherapy Brisbane with 1,000 monthly searches, the volume is down, but the specificity is up, which indicates that they know what they want. They are looking for a physiotherapist in Brisbane. And so just remember this. This is a key thing to remember, is that typically the longer the search phrase, the more specific it is, the more relevant it is, the more opportunity it is the more likely it is to convert into a transaction, and the lower the volume. All right. Super high volumes, shorter keyword phrases tend to be informational. Right. Now, this is an extract from a competitor. You can put the competitor's URL into SEMrush, and SEMrush will tell you the keyword phrases that they currently rank for. So in this case here, this is an extract from a competitor who's ranking number 1 for Physio Melbourne. And you can see on the right there, it's 1,000 monthly keyword searches, Physio Melbourne. Physio Melbourne CBD, 880. They're also ranking number 1 for that. And you can go down, and where you see other keyword phrases like, fascia, for example, that would be indicative of content that's ranking for that. So this is a great tool to look at your competitors, right, to find out what keyword phrases are relevant even before you start. So once you've got all those keyword phrases, what do you do with them? So what you want to do with those keyword phrases is you want to write what is called a page title and a meta description. Now, if you're using WordPress, which probably most of you are, WordPress makes this very easy. Each page has the option of going in and writing a custom page title. Now, by default, the page title will typically be the page name, but if you go into every page on WordPress, you can edit the page and go down to a section that says, here's the page title, here's the meta description. The page title is the text that appears in the search results in Google. And the meta description is that little snippet of text underneath that is designed to encourage the click-through to the website. The page title, you want to include the keyword phrases that you want that page to get found for, but you want to write it in a way that is human readable, right? In the old days, people were very aggressive. So they might say, a page title might say, Physiotherapy Melbourne, Melbourne Physiotherapist, Best Melbourne Physiotherapist. And that reads so poorly. It's so spammy. So you might write a page title that might say, Best Melbourne Physiotherapist, and then your brand name or something like that. Including them in a human written way targets the keyword phrases that is easier and better to read for humans, right? So you've got about 70 characters to play with for your page title and about 156 characters to work with for your meta description. And this is the connection between the keyword research and ranking. You do the keyword research, you write these page titles and meta descriptions for your home page as well as your primary service pages. And that at a very minimum will allow those pages to rank in Google. This is really critical, all right? This is a very important step. All right, once you've done that, you want to look at improving your website copy. Now, the screenshot on the right there is a screenshot that I took from a third-party website. It's not a physiotherapist page, site, but they had a page on remedial massage therapy. But one thing that struck me about this website was how well written the copy was on the service pages. And it just didn't have a block that said massage therapy, what it is. If you look at that, they've got an introduction paragraph that has a keyword-rich heading about remedial massage therapy, basically telling you what it is and how it helps. But then it's a section there, they've got a section there that says how our service can help you, how we can help you. And then it talks about the conditions that this therapy treats, and then expands on the types of services with additional copy. And then, look at the bottom there. It's actually providing 10 good reasons to have a regular massage treatment. So good, comprehensive copy. It's got a call to action at the top, which is book an appointment. So this is what you want to do for your own pages. You write this page and you write it as a landing page, ultimately to answer the question that's in the customer's head, to let them know that they're on the right page because they've done a Google search to find it, and then tell them what you want them to do. So if they're searching for remedial massage therapy Melbourne and they land on this page, the page says, you're looking for remedial massage therapy, this is how we can help, these are conditions, yep. Further verifying to that person that they're on the right page, and then give them a call to action, right? So what you want to do when you're writing your on-page copy is to take a look at the top 10 pages that rank for the main keyword phrase that you're writing for. It's really critical to understand that if the top 10 search results are competitor pages, right, where the copy is long and comprehensive and it's more than just a paragraph, then you need to do the same, right? Google tells you how to do things. If it's ranking long form comprehensive pages, then you need to write similar or better, all right? Just be aware of that. All right, next step, quality local directories and citations. The reality is that Google expects to see certain types of links and mentions of your brand, right? In local search, which is searches where there is a local element being a provider in my area, physiotherapy plus Melbourne, physiotherapy plus Melbourne CBD, or whatever that is. What's critical is the local mentions of your business name. And a lot of these come from good quality local directories, right? Just remember, when you go through the process of submitting the business to the local directories, you make sure that there's consistency with your name and address and a phone number. Google wants to be able to match up these links and mentions of you on third-party sites to your website. So be consistent with your business name, your address, and your phone number across the third-party directory listings, on your website, and also on your Google My Business page when we get to that. Try to stay away from dodgy, spammy SEO directories, although a lot of those have sort of dropped out of the search results. They used to be par for the course in the old days. All right. Once you've done all that, you want to get all the friendly links that you can. Link building is a really critical activity, and it can get very spammy if you outsource it to the wrong people. But the reality is, as a business owner, you know that there are many opportunities to leverage relationships that you already have to get links. So you might have suppliers, you might have some customers in the forms of testimonials, they might have a blog, you might have business partners with websites. You might also spend money on, let's say, for example, radio advertising, and those radio stations have websites where they list their advertisers. Go through a process of looking at your suppliers, your partners, anyone you do business with, looking at their websites and seeing if you can get a link from them, right? Send them a straight out email and say, hey, I see you're listing all of your customers would love it to be included on that page, and we'll even leave you a testimonial. Do those things, pick up those free links, because they all help you rank in organic search. Right. And the final thing you want to do, especially for a business like yours, is probably one of the most critical ones, is set your business up in the Google My Business system. It used to be called Google Maps, used to be called Google Local or Google Places. This is critical. Complete the listing fully, make sure you have all the information in there, upload all of the images, make sure that there is name, address, phone number, consistency, and start encouraging people to leave you Google reviews. This is really critical for mobile search results, because when someone is on a mobile phone device and they're doing a local search, looking for a local physiotherapist, Google will personalize the search results, and the first things that it will show are physiotherapists that are within their geographic search radius, and it will be Google Maps. So if you're not in Google Maps, you're going to immediately miss out on that opportunity to be listed as the nearest physical provider. All right. So get into Google My Business, set it up completely, encourage reviews. It's only going to become more and more important, Google My Business, I feel, because they've expanded the tools that are available in Google My Business. You can now publish posts, promotions, things like that. And remember, when people search for you by brand, what you'll see appearing on the right-hand side is your Google My Business listing. So if you don't have that, you have less space on page one. So make sure your Google My Business listing is there. So if you're doing SEO on your site, what do the results look like? Right. So the first thing is that if you're tracking keyword rankings, as you optimize the pages, right, you will start to see an improvement in the rankings for those keyword phrases. Your pages will enter the search rankings, they will start to move up. So that's the first thing that you'll see. Now, it won't necessarily, you may not be on page one immediately, and that's probably going to be the reality of it, right? But what you're doing here is you're tracking the journey, and you're making sure that things are improving in response to your marketing activity. So are your rankings improving? Next thing, in Google Search Console, if you correctly optimize your pages for the right keyword phrases, and then you go and build those links, what you will see is an increase in the number of impressions that your website is showing up for. And as the rankings get onto page one, the number of clicks, right? So as you optimize your pages and you optimize for more keyword phrases, you will see more and more keyword phrases appear in Google Search Console, and you will be able to track and measure, is your site performing or responding to the marketing activities that you do? So Google Search Console is a critical tool for this, and it's not hard to use. Impressions is where you show up, right? Regardless of whether it's page 1 or page 10, clicks is the visits to your website from those impressions. Once you get improved rankings, once you get improved visibility in Search Console, as those rankings get onto page 1, the primary mechanism or output will be an increase in the organic traffic in your Google Analytics. So if you go into Google Analytics, select the date range, in this case I've selected a month, and then you select a segment and say, just show me the organic traffic. And over time, you will see the number of visitors getting to your website from organic search increasing. And that's how you know your SEO is performing, that it's having an impact, right? That it's having the right impact. And obviously, the next step is asking, is this organic traffic resulting in increased bookings? And that's ultimately what you want, right? If it is, it means that you're targeting the right keyword phrases, right commercial intent, coming to the website, and then doing what you want them to do. So a couple of final bits of advice from me to you as a business owner relating to SEO. Right. SEO is just one piece of the puzzle. No doubt through the boardroom analysis and work that you're doing, you recognize that there are multiple channels to generate visits and leads. There are multiple opportunities, and SEO is just a part of it. The days where you could rely on one traffic channel, whether it was paid, Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO, as the primary mechanism of lead generation is gone. The reality is they all work together, and the power of SEO is that you can leverage the traffic that gets to your website, who may have found you in a Google search but didn't do anything, right? You can do things like retargeting to them. You can show them a follow-up ad that says, saw you visited our remedial massage therapy page. Would you like to make a booking? Stuff like that. That's really creative. It's also another alternative or an opportunity for you to offer them opportunities to get onto your email list or to download a resource or something like that, to bring them into your sphere of influence, to build your brand so that when they're thinking physiotherapist, they'll just search for you by brand. right? So just remember that SEO is one part of the piece, albeit an important part that impacts all others. It's just one part of the piece. The second thing I want you to think about is that your website is a very valuable business asset. And I've seen business owners sometimes begrudge for what is essentially the cost of a cup of coffee a day, right? For their hosting or their website. They'll moan and complain, or they'll be really excited that they've managed to get their website hosting down to, $7 a month or something, when they'll spend thousands of dollars monthly on their premises. Well, your website is ultimately your online premises, and it's really critical that you treat it as such. You treat it valuably. It's where all of your conversion activities happen. So you need to value it, you need to invest in it, you need to protect it and promote it in the same way that you would do with your front of house facilities, all right? If the site loads slowly, if it crashes, if people can't find it, it won't generate leads and sales, right? So treat your website as what it is. It's a valuable business asset. The other thing I want to remind you of is that 80-20, the Pareto principle, is very relevant from an SEO perspective, right? The things that I've gone through in this presentation are the 20%, right? It includes building a fast-loading, mobile-optimized website and having good resources, good support resources in your corner, a good web developer or a good SEO, right? You want to focus on writing comprehensive, compelling, conversion-focused copy. That's information that is designed to take that visitor and tell them that you need to make a booking with us, right? So focus on conversion-focused copy. And then also, it's really critical that you, as a business owner and your team, develop some internal knowledge about SEO, right? And it's primarily is understanding what an SEO practitioner does for you, and then how do you track and measure their performance. That's really critical. You don't need to become the SEO, but you need to understand that they're going to do certain things that are going to boost your rankings and generate improved organic traffic. So get familiar with the tools. Jump into Google Analytics on a regular basis, understand how to use it, get familiar with Google Search Console because it's a really powerful tool, right? So develop these competencies that will allow you to track and measure this activity. And the other thing that I also want to mention is that you should engage experts when you need them, right? You are a business owner, not an SEO specialist. And I've met a few of you who love to learn and do this stuff. And, that's great if you want to, but the reality is there are probably more effective uses of your time than learning SEO. So hire experts for things like technical fixes, research, strategy development, web fixes, right? But what I do recommend is you keep things like analysis, analyzing the data, tracking and measuring your performance, doing promotional outreach to, say, bloggers or people in your area, link building, local directory submissions, blogging and content creation. Those are the things that you want to keep internally because they relate to you and your brand. And only you know your brand best. And so that stuff should be yours, right? And also, once again, make sure that you and your staff get a good education in the basics of SEO. And the final thing I want to reiterate again is your brand is the number one keyword phrase that you will always, or you should always rank number one for, right? So yes, SEO is about getting you ranking for non-brand commercial terms. Physio Melbourne, Physio Brisbane, remedial massage Brisbane, those sorts of phrases, commercial ones, non-branded ones. It's even better to have people search for you by name, right? You will always be number one for your name and your brand. So make sure that you actively promote the business in the community. Make sure your other marketing activities, whether email, whether top of line, build the brand awareness, right? Take advantage of all those PR opportunities and collaborations. Get featured in magazines. Get featured on other blogs, right? Build the brand. And also, when you use social media, think about using social media to boost your brand awareness, making sure people associate your brand name with the service that you offer, the treatments that you can provide, and that will increase the amount of searches that people do for you by brand. And you own it. You're number one. And that's traffic that you can have and convert forever. Hey, thank you very much. I hope this was helpful. The reality is SEO can be as complex or as simple as you make it, but hopefully today in this presentation, this information was helpful for you. In the sense that you now understand what's involved and you can ask better questions and engage the right people to do the right things. Thanks so much.